I'm going to grab a bottle of water. 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready when you are.
All
So,
right, sounds good. I think I'm going to edit this today so we can have it out tonight, this morning. So,
okay. Sure.
um, the clap, I have a way of syncing that isn't the clap, so I think we can just start.
Okay. If you're fine with that, then I'm fine with that too.
Cool. All right, welcome back to slashMLS. That was a fun interview that we just had with Dan. James is with us. Username
Hello.
Nefarious Joe. Hi, James.
Hi, guys. I'm back now.
And some cruise dude, Zach from the San Jose guy, also a mod. He'll be joining us in a few minutes. But before that happened, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. There's kind of an article circulating that's sort of blown up, and there's about the American Outlaws and sort of the what it's grown into. I guess the best way to characterize it is the frat boy nature that it's grown into, which I guess sort of makes sense if you think about the kind of person that gets into AO. Um, what I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to talk about, or the prompt, I guess, is American Outlaws just tweeted about the article, and here's the tweet, and it's wow, it's a bunch of tweets. I just realized that, um, but yeah, the first one that they tweeted before anything else is we've read and reflected on the article. We are disappointed the article included so many inaccuracies. Now they go on to tweet out a bunch of other things about their code of conduct and all these other things, but they start out with that, which immediately a confrontational, sort of a ridiculous tone, honestly, because it's not like they compiled misleading statistics. They went out and talked to people. I don't what do you think, James?
Well, reading through their subsequent tweets, which, before we started recording, I was mentioning that, they probably should say how seriously they take it, which they did in all caps. So that there is something to be said that there's that they're trying to say that they want to be inclusive, they want to be passionate, and how like how they believe that the majority of their group follows these. The problem that I have with it, even though they do say that they're going to try and root it out, which I've never really liked that sort of thing. I've always sort of preferred, we're going to do everything that we can to foster a positive environment, and like trying to find like the one asshole and kicking him out rarely works because it's never the one asshole. It's never one guy. They in a group like this, and again, like they make a very good point. It's 30,000 plus members. That's a lot, but it's when you have a situation where nearly every time that you hear about a major AO event, I do hear stories like the ones mentioned in that article. If it's mostly racism and sexual harassment, which is a big problem in soccer fandom all over the world, and but it's something that I think is usually not found in the U.S. And so it's always disheartening when you find out that it does happen here.
Yeah, the thing that disappoints me is that not to be, I don't know, national, patriotic, whatever. I've always felt that the United States, as a result, I like to say, and I might be wrong about this, I might be overly optimistic about this, but I like to say the United States is the only country in the world that has all the other countries in the world inside of it.
Mhm.
And I've always felt that as a result, I mean, we have, obviously we have racial and nationalistic issues. That's going to happen, but I feel like we're more aware as a society as a result of all of that diversity, and I feel like a soccer supporters group that represents the United States, a group that is young, is mostly progressive, is all the things that tend to foster yay, diversity is good, and we should, not be racist and shit. I was always hoping that that kind of group wouldn't display those kinds of tendencies, and it's I don't know it.
Well, the problem with looking at that in terms of soccer is that since the sport was so unpopular here for so long, most of the people who have a soccer tradition, it's tied mostly to their background country. You know, there's a bunch of Italians who live in the U.S. who don't follow the U.S. team; they follow Italy. There's a bunch of people. The same is true for England, Germany, Brazil, France, anything. And probably the most dramatic example of that would be Mexican supporters. I went to the Gold Cup final between the U.S. and Mexico in L.A., and it was 90,000 people in green and like 2,000 people in red, white, and blue. And in the team itself has even complained about how having home games in the U.S. doesn't feel like actually having a home game. So it might be it might partially be a reaction to that sort of antagonistic nature towards other teams. I actually thought that when there was that great national outcry against Belgium when we were going into our round of 16 match, and it was so good natured. People were boycotting Belgian beer and waffles, and it was wonderful. I'm like, that's exactly what we should be doing.
Yeah,
Like, okay, look, as hard as it is for me to boycott Belgian triples for all of a week. It was great. Like it was a fun little show of support, and I don't think anybody from Belgium or of Belgian descent was ever going to be like, oh, what is this? Nobody was getting attacked. But like the sort of thing that they described in that article, and the sort of thing that you see from like major supporters groups, not just of the U.S. national team, but also within MLS sometimes too, where people do take it too far. They do take it to this us versus them mentality. They do take it to this something that it could be described as hateful, which is something that can be a big problem in fandom. And honestly, it makes it so unappealing to me. I've been a part of. Well, I haven't been like a dues-paying member of a supporters group, but I have stood, chanted, jumped, done everything with them. And in my first years of being a LA Galaxy season ticket holder, and it got old kind of fast when you started hearing people talking about how this or that player can go fuck themselves, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, like I love getting into the game, but that's just something that takes it to a whole nother level. When you start worrying more about how much you hate the guy on the other team rather than how much you love the guy on yours,
yeah,
it's something that becomes a problem. And I
yeah.
do think that it is a slippery slope.
It is, and so I commented on the Reddit thread attached to the article, and it's something that's come to mind is that there are definitely atmospheres that do a good job, that do promote creativity and positivity and
Hmm.
hospitality, and they don't take this kind of shit. They don't take racism and sexism and all that. And I think too, like I think my favorite supporters atmosphere, not that I've been to too many, but my favorite supporters atmosphere by far is in Minnesota, where pretty much all of the leaders, if someone's acting shitty, they're going to be on them in like a couple of seconds, and like don't don't be shitty, don't be a dick. We're all here to enjoy soccer. Like I've gone more often than not. I've gone to Minnesota United games as a Railhawks supporter when they were playing the Railhawks, and it was just as fun as the one time that I cheered full throat for Minnesota, the time that we needed them to win so we could win a trophy. It didn't happen, but whatever. But it was still a lot of fun. It's just like that group is of people, they want to watch soccer and they want to drink beer and they want to eat hot nuts, and it's great. And it's those kinds of atmospheres can exist if the leadership is in place, the proper leadership is in place, and they are, um, they have the right mindset about them.
Right. Uh,
From what I'm gathering, I don't know if is that it sounds like it. I don't want to make this generalization after one article that sampled only like 6 or 7 chapters, but it sounds like it's getting to be more of the exception than the rule.
I I don't know if I would go that far, but I do
Okay.
think that American Outlaws does deliberately foster the kind of mentality that you're talking about. I wouldn't say that like most supporters groups in MLS would be this type of extremely antagonistic, entirely too rowdy, and way too into their own culture and trying to push out anybody who isn't a part of that. But I think AO has a type, and I think that a lot of it has to do with wanting to be tough and badass and loud and rowdy, and drinking way too much is a huge part of it. I mean, I hate using the bros and the frat boy sayings and those metaphors, but in this case, they are a little apt. My extremely limited exposure to American Outlaws, at the times when they've come to StubHub Center, have not been great. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you barely think that they're watching the game. I'm obviously like an entirely too heady person when it comes to how I try to enjoy soccer. That's why I can bitch and moan about it for hours on end. But I feel like there's no attempt for an appreciation, and it's just this like get with the message or get out. And I think that turns off a lot of people, and I don't think that that's the way it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. We're gonna take a quick break. On the other side of that, some cruise dude, Zach Rosman, he will be with us to talk RMLS, modding, and other stuff. Probably the supporters thing. So yeah. Nope.
Yeah, well, there's certainly stuff to talk about, because like I know 1906 Ultras has just like nuked their social media presence,
Oh yeah.
and so everyone's wondering what the hell is going on there.
Yeah. Problems.
Yeah, although 1906 Ultras, those guys are dicks. Like every interaction that I've ever had with their people has been exclusively awful.
I do not think Zach will disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. Like the Riot Squad used to be like that. They used to be very deliberately antagonistic, and they finally cooled the fuck off. But like those are the guys who were like throwing shit at David Beckham and telling him to go home and all that. In the middle of the first season he was here. I understand that they were pissed because he was missing games to go play for AC Milan, but at the same time, oh my god. Yeah. There was. Huh. So is he? Oh, as if to answer the question.
Hello, Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Doing all right, thanks.
So you're set up to do the Audacity thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you have the thing where you can export it to make it an MP3?
Yeah, I should be able to.
Oh.
Let me see here.
If not, I'm sure we can work something out. Like we can download it and then get some more compression going. But it should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be able to. Let me see here.
Okay. So Zach, we left off in the interim between you and Dan. James and I had like a 10-minute conversation about the AO article, and specifically the ensuing AO tweets. If you have opinions on that, I think we're going to open with that, if you'd like.
Oh, I actually haven't seen anything with that.
Okay.
So.
All right, no problem. Well, we can. Well, with the 1906 Ultras, like, I don't know, going into hiding or whatever, I think we can segue into something that's a little bit more in your wheelhouse. Do you know what's going on with that shit, or?
No one knows what's going on right now. It was originally brought up, I think it was yesterday. Just the accounts all went down. The website's still up, at least part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so no one really knows what's going on, if they're doing a rebrand, a refresh of the social media, or if they just were dealing with too many Seattle trolls before they went up there or something like that.
Okay.
We have no idea.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we can go over that real quick, and then we can talk about some more. We can talk about more about San Jose because actually we don't really talk about them very much, so it might actually be a good idea to talk about them. And they were kind of a big question mark for us when we were talking about in the beginning of the year. It's like, well, we don't think they're going to be good, but we don't know how not that good they're going to be. Like,
Fair enough.
Yeah, so you might have a differing opinion on that. So yeah, why don't you just pull us back in?
Yeah, sure. Let me see here.
Oh wait, no, Ian's got to do a thing.
Okay, sure.
Or he's talking to a roommate or his girlfriend or something. Drama.
Oh, excuse me.
Hey James, would you intro us back in and talk to Zach for the first 3 minutes? I will be back in like 7 minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
And I will come back after that.
Okay, no problem.
All right. So when should I start recording? Just
start now. Just start now. Yeah. Yeah, we will figure out the rest.
All right, sweet. 3, 2, 1.
All right, you're good? Okay.
Yeah.
And welcome back. We just took a quick break. Ian will be rejoining us shortly, but now we have Zach, otherwise known as Some Cruise Dude, with us to talk about the San Jose earthquakes in particular and the subreddit and modding in general. So to kind of loop back in with what Ian and I were just talking about regarding AO as a supporters group, there's also been some strange, somewhat mysterious movement with the 1906 Ultras. Now, Zach was just telling me that there isn't a whole lot known just yet, but what do we know and what are the theories?
Let's see. I mean, just from what I'm hearing with people that are affiliated with the group, not much. They're actually looking to their leader to see what's going on, or inner circle.
So there are people within the group itself who
members.
Yeah.
Expanding or anything like that. So yeah, we haven't heard anything anything huge. There are people even thinking maybe their accounts got hacked or something like that, but I would kind of doubt that.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, if they got hacked, they wouldn't be closed down. They would be, posting pro-timber stuff or whatever. So, is there any particular reason why they'd want to change the name? I know a lot of people have had some pretty negative run-ins with them in the past, and both up and down the West Coast. So the real question is, I mean, are they trying to? I mean, is there an image that they'd be wanting to get away from, or has there been any sort of dissent in the leadership?
How do I put this? Those incidents. I'm not a member of the Ultras, just to put that out there for people. I've decided. Well, plus I haven't been able to get to as many games as I'd like to, but I decided to remain neutral with a lot of this stuff, and if I want to sing with supporters, I'd sing with them, but I wouldn't necessarily become a member. But with a lot of these incidents, they have been things where there were issues, but at the same time, it was a few members, and the group itself would say, we want to cooperate fully with police. If there are members, we'll kick them out, stuff like that. But the problem is, especially on social media, that hasn't been talked about. It's been just this group has been beating people up or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so they've been getting, I wouldn't necessarily say harassed on Twitter a lot, but they've been dealing with a lot of negativity through social media, through other fan bases or other supporters groups even. And so I think that maybe they just are going to stick to not recruiting through online, and if they do use a website or whatever, it's going to be like members only. Things like that. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, with the name and everything itself, 1906 Ultras, it actually contains a lot of history because it was two supporters groups that ended up merging together from a now defunct San Francisco-based team, and the San Jose Ultras, which were supporters group from before the earthquake moved. So,
like from the Clash days, or just before they moved to Houston.
Just before, I think I'm not sure how long the San Jose Ultras were established, but They were there, I think they were there at least in 2005. I think
Okay.
founded maybe 2003. Yeah, so I doubt that they're trying to shed anything as far as their image goes.
Okay. So there is one subject that I think that people are dying for insider information on, and I don't know how much you have in this. Maybe you've been to the stadium. I don't know. I can't say for
Yeah.
sure. But Via Stadium is going to be featuring the largest outdoor bar in North America, and I think that that's really the most serious takeaway of there this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you able to get over there for the friendly that they had with the Galaxy? Like, God, what
I
can you tell
actually
us?
didn't.
Square
I
footage,
didn't
we
make
need
it.
numbers.
I didn't make it up to that game. Actually, our San Jose Earthquake subreddit had a tour of the facility, which was awesome.
Oh,
They
cool.
had tour groups for like the ultras, the different supporters groups, and then a couple of the members of the front office are on the subreddit, and so they wanted to make a tour for subreddit members. So I went out there, and I was pretty much toward. I think construction was pretty much all done, except for parking lots or something like that. Or yeah, it was pretty much all done except for finishing touches. And so for everyone wants to hear the largest bar in North America, or actually I've been hearing that now they're calling it the largest exterior bar in North America.
Oh, that's much classier. Yeah,
I'm
no.
not sure what that has to do with anything, or if they're saving that for if they or if slash when they close off the fourth side. Um, it's funny though. But from what I understand, surface area wise, it definitely is the largest bar and outdoor bar in North America.
My
It actually
God.
doesn't have as many beers actually, or the selection isn't as large as another part of the stadium. But a lot of people just like they might. It's more of bottled beer, stuff like that. And from what I hear, it's just a great place to sit down and watch the game. And the view from there is quite incredible. And it
Okay.
is a lot larger than I would have expected in person. Um,
All right, so I think that ties into something that actually might be a little bit more serious. But what's the
sure.
the FO is really trying to, very obviously trying to get the game day experience changed because the one at Buck Shaw was, say, intimate. Um,
Yeah.
so they haven't had their home opener yet, if I recall
No.
correctly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what do you think that it kind of indicates with what the FO is doing? There's obviously a lot of changes have been made to the team, both on the field and off. Where do you
Mhm.
kind of see what's the path do you see them trying to blaze this year?
I see them, for the most part, just focusing, at least as far as the front office goes, focusing on um, just making sure that the stadium runs smoothly because we've seen in our own Bay Area what can happen if the stadium isn't run smoothly. Like Levi's, it's just been a disaster for the
Really?
49ers and their fans. Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that they relocated, they didn't treat season ticket holders right, they kind of ignored those that had been holding season tickets for a while and acted as if they weren't, how do I put it? And 49ers fans, if they're listening, they could correct me afterwards, but from what I understand, they just kind of didn't really treat those that had been longtime fans well. And plus, the ticket prices went through the roof. Um, and so I think they're going to mainly just be focusing on transit, making sure that's all smooth, and making sure that that we get some good games there with the friendly women's national team friendly that's coming up there.
Mm-hmm.
Rugby is going to be playing there. In the summer. And then also, as far as on the field goes, I think its playoffs are bust because this team has been thoroughly inconsistent, and
Yeah.
especially with how tough the Western Conference is this year. If they're to make it to the playoffs, then that'll be a big step ahead, especially with how just insane the last couple of years have been with Gallup and then Watson
Right.
each doing half a season in 2013, still not making the playoffs, and then 2014 the absolute implosion. It was like a multiple collisions on a highway, just all together. You couldn't look away from it, but at the same time, it's just sad to watch happen.
Okay.
So yeah,
What are the top three things that like have to happen in order for them to make the playoffs?
really, I just think they need to. Well, I think all three would be no one gets injured, and we can deal with Chris Wondolowski getting called up for the national team for the Gold Cup, and maybe even
Right.
Clarence Goodson, and Bernardez. There's actually quite a few. I think during the World Cup they released how much clubs were compensated for players being released, and the Earthquakes actually were compensated the most financially for
Right.
having
I
players
think
gone.
I think they were the best represented team in MLS at the World Cup. It's just not. Most of them just didn't come play for the U.S.
Yeah, it was you had two, I think, it was two players on Honduras, and then it should have been two, in my opinion, on the U.S., but ended up just being Wando. And for you to take away a designated player and then the anchor at the back line, basically, it wasn't that good.
Yeah, it's not going to go great. Yeah.
Yeah, and so let me see here. Actually, I'll correct myself. Chavez didn't play for us at the time. I think he was with Chiva. I don't remember, but yeah, for what they need to do is just maintain some sort of consistency as far as players go. And if they remain healthy, then I think they can definitely sneak into the playoffs, 5th or 6th
Okay.
place.
All right, quite possible. Quite possible. Dominic Kinnear
I'm-
coming back. Happy or sad?
Well, I was a critic at first because this team has had the same coaching tree for, what, 13 seasons now?
Yeah.
Frankie Allop's tree. So we had Frankie Allop from 2001 to 2003. Then Dominic Kinnear took over 2004, 2005. Then Yalp took over again 2008 to 2013. And then Mark Watson, his assistant coach, took over. And so now we're also yet again coached by Dominic Kinnear. And so it was something where at first I would have rather had somebody that was a new talent, something like that had nothing to do with Frankie Allop, because we've had enough of that coaching
It was
tree.
time for a change. Yeah.
Yeah, but now that I think back on it, I think that it's good that we have Dom Kinnear because he's a proven coach in MLS. He's no slouch.
Yeah.
It's good to have somebody that wants to be here and that has ties here, so it isn't as if he's just doing it necessarily only as a job. But he's played for the teams in the Bay Area. He's coached the team. He's coached the Earthquakes before. And the same with his coaching staff are either former coaches or they've been in the area. And so I feel like overall it's actually something that is positive.
Okay.
And he's a proven winner, whereas last year we had an interim that had no proof of winning.
Right.
It's dangerous to hire interims to full-time positions, and I think Philly's gonna figure that out this year. Just because there are a lot of reasons why teams turn around under an interim coach, and very few of them usually have to do with the interim coach. I'm pretty high on you guys this year. In our preview, I put you guys not in the bottom tier, which is where a lot of people probably would have. I'm excited about your center back pairing. I'm excited about Dom Kinnear. Have you guys talked to Tommy Thompson yet?
Oh no, we have
No,
not.
Tommy
We have
Thompson's
not
not
hopped.
yet. No hype.
We have not yet hopped onto the hype train. No.
Is he gonna play? Because I'm hearing Dom Kinnear is not as excited about him as RMLS is.
I don't know if anyone is excited. I don't even know if Tommy's as excited for Tommy as RLMLS and RSJ Earthquakes are. But from what I understand, it's going to be a week-to-week thing, depending on what formation Dom uses, because I know he uses a 4-4-2, which is more of a flat formation that Tommy might not fit in all the time, but also a diamond midfield, which he could fit in as an attacker or possibly a winger. It just depends on who we're playing. So who knows?
I could see him like kind of roaming between the lines as a second striker. Doing like the Tom highlight reel thing. The guy. I mean, obviously his ball control is pretty next level, and if you put him in a position where he knows where Wando's going to be better than the defenses they're playing against are, I mean, he could be kind of an assist machine that way. And really, I think that's what his skill set would go toward. Less 15 goals, more 10 goals, 19 assists. Like that's what you want.
And that's definitely a nice thing about having Ralston added to the staff. For those that don't know, he was the league leader in assists until Donovan took that title.
Yes, he did.
This past year, and so he's definitely someone that will be able to mentor Thompson as far as assists go. And also, the play of Tommy will depend on San Jose's DPs. Depends on where they're played, because Emahara and Wando already together play a very similar area,
Right.
second striker / midfielder at some points. And so it's something where we're going to have to see where Dom Kinnear feels like everyone's comfortable playing to know where Tommy is. But I doubt that he's going to get loaned out again. He's definitely going to be sticking with the first team. And I feel like he's actually going to start a majority of the games this season, except for the span of the U20 World Cup.
Okay. So you've touched a little bit on our SJ Earthquakes, is it? Is that what it is? Or? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So what have you guys done there to try and foster a community, or what's going on over there? Are you a mod there too, or?
Oh yeah, I created the place back in 2011. That was back when when I made the post asking if there was any interest in it. Somebody said, I don't know why. Like he basically said, no one uses club subreddits anyway. I'm not sure why you'd want to do that.
Well, that's just a challenge.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of took that as a challenge. Although in the first month, I don't even think 10 people subscribed to it. So for a very long time, it was just me kind of posting most of the stuff and a few people commenting. But after 2012, of course, when we won the Supportive Shield, we got a lot more popularity in the Bay Area and online. And so it's grown a lot. We've done a handful of AMAs with players. And like I said, we were able to tour the stadium, which was awesome. We've had some issues trying to get some good communication between us and the front office. That's something that I'm looking to try to take advantage of this year, because of the PR guy from the Earthquakes. He ended up moving to Chicago Fire, so that should be interesting. But overall, I think the community is just we try to stay positive, which can be hard for a lot of sports communities, because there can be so much to rant on and hate on, and so we're just hella close, because we like to say hella so much, and no one else
You
really
are
does
from
hella
NorCal.
like we say. Yeah, I had to sneak that in there sometime. But basically, I feel like what separates us from other subreddits maybe just the fact that we don't. It's more of we don't care. We don't care when you became a fan. We care that you are a fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from personal experience, a lot of like Giants fans and now Warriors fans. Now the teams have gotten popular, they kind of will like check each other, like, "Yo, were you a fan when like Bonds was playing? Were you a fan back when we sucked?" Basically,
Right.
And it's just something where that doesn't help foster any fan base. That doesn't help foster any community.
Yeah, luckily,
And
I don't
so-
think we see very much of that in MLS, really, outside of the. I mean, even the Cascadia teams, where you see like the tiniest, ittiest, bittiest seeds of that, like they haven't even been around long enough for somebody to really, for any of it to really be particularly valid. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, were you with us in the dark days of 2009? And be like, all right, you
Yeah.
got 6 years on me, you can relax.
Honestly, I might
ironically-
be among the worst offenders of that, having been around since I was 6, and saying to people, "Hey, where were you when I was 6? You weren't here." Anyway, none of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I don't think you're going to
It's-
find a whole lot of people bandwagoning onto DC. Burn.
Hey,
or San Jose. I mean, it was something crazy for at least how our subreddit goes. It actually grew the most during this last season, 2014, which was on record basically our worst season outside of like we didn't win the wooden spoon, so we weren't the worst team in the league, but we had the longest. Well, we still, because we haven't won yet, we still have the longest losing streak in club history, or winless streak rather. So it's just something where it's kind of like, I'm also a Tottenham fan, I'm a Bills fan, so basically I'm a masochist when it comes to sports.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, always a bridesmaid. This guy. Now San Jose did
yeah,
have some very good years with a player who ended up, going home and playing for a much much better team. But
you can thank
he's smiling
AEG
and
for
shaking his
you
head
can
right
thank
now as
AEG for
if
that. Yeah, I
I
know what
can
you were
thank
saying.
AEG for that, and I do every day. um,
So
Yeah, you
Zach,
can
you
also
you
thank them
were
for Herbalife.
oh God. Okay.
Oh, hey, Herbalife's checks always clear, which does not happen in for every team in this league. So as much as I never use their products, I am
Yeah, that
thankful for their shirt sponsorship.
actually reminds me of something I wrote down here to talk about is that the earthquakes are pretty much publicly, well, not necessarily publicly, but they're letting it leak out just how many jersey sponsors are looking at sponsoring them as I think it's at like I think it's three now that have had photographs from the stadium taken of their logo on the shirts.
Hmm.
Um, it's let's see, TCL, Roku. TCL's a manufacturing company of TVs. Um, let's see. I think the most recent was Vysk, VYSK, and they're like a manufacturer of some certain sort of iPhone encryption cases and software. And then Stryker, who are biomedical. Um, and it's interesting because they're all, I don't think any of them so far have been centered necessarily like founded in the Bay Area, but they all have centers around the Bay Area. So
Yeah, in the
Vyzik, I
Bay
think,
Area, especially in something like manufacturing and technology, it's always a good idea to kind of get in there. I mean, they
yeah.
sort of in the greater Bay Area, there's a lot of
Mhm.
that. I mean, even though they're mostly known for what's happening in like Palo Alto up there, but
Yeah.
which is barely the Bay Area, really.
Mhm.
Um, there is still a lot of that uh, mechanical engineering and manufacturing going on up there,
Mhm.
and it's certainly a huge step up from Amway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know it's hard to talk as a Galaxy fan, but yeah, I mean, I think every bit as badly of Herbalife as most people do. Um,
Yeah. I
So here's
mean,
here's a
it's.
question. Would you
Mhm.
rather be sponsored by like Amway or Life Vantage or
or
Advocare?
a weapons contractor?
I'm pretty yeah, that was gonna be my question. Or yeah,
Oh.
or a defense contractor like Leidos. Which is preferable?
um,
Um,
after what happened to the Rapids last year, I'm just thankful to have a company that actually pays the money.
Hmm.
I think we're kind of, and at least Herbalife is ostensibly like kind of related. I mean, like they're in health and they want like sports performance and body and whatnot. But
mhm.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we can't all have UNICEF as our shirt sponsor, or the Qatar Foundation, which is every bit as good as UNICEF, right? Um,
So I'm
uh,
told.
yeah, that's what they would have me believe.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I don't know. Shirt sponsorships, it's always it doesn't matter. I mean, I try to avoid it. I mean, in the beginning I tried to say that I was never going to buy like a Galaxy shirt because it had the Herbalife on it, and I was always going to see like get the training shirts instead, that sort of thing. But it became, yeah, that did not end up happening. So I think most people would just be like, hey, look, if them sponsoring me means that, or them sponsoring my team means that we get to sign Robbie Keane, Steven Gerrard, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I would subscribe even to the camp of I'd rather not have a shirt sponsorship for a bit from waiting for the right one. It's kind of a similar situation with the stadium. Is like I'd rather have a well-made stadium and a good place than one that I don't know that maybe could be short-sighted as far as construction goes, things like that.
Hmm.
Um, I'd rather I've been fine with these past years of not having like Amway or Amway Global pasted across the chest because I know that there's definitely a lot better companies in the Bay Area just itself that would be up for sponsoring.
Yeah,
And
and hey, look, if there was like a year or even a month where the Galaxy were selling shirts that didn't have a shirt sponsor on them because there was like a contract dispute or whatever, I would buy 5 of both kinds and then just be like, these are the ones that I'm just gonna wear forever now, and I'll get like, and I'll leave some blank so I can send it back in and get my favorite player on the back. Like, yeah, no, it'll be good. That would just be my dream.
Yeah, there are some people like that are actually upset that the Earthquakes are gonna potentially get a journal sponsor or jersey sponsorship, which I find interesting because I find that jersey sponsorships, for the most part, is a sign of a healthy club.
Yeah, I mean, and it's such a part of the culture. I mean, that would be like a NASCAR fan just being like, I don't know about all these like logos on there. It's just you just kind of learn to tune it out.
I mean, it pays the rent. It pays for, like you said, getting those high caliber players.
And also, it keeps commercials off the. I mean, it keeps commercials off during the game. So
yeah, exactly. Instead of having, although I gotta say, I'm praying that if I do get a choice of the companies that are currently at least photographed, I'd want Striker, just because of all the puns that can be unleashed. So,
right.
like, the Striker goal of the month, and stuff like that. I just would love that.
Yeah,
but,
it's Striker strike of the game.
What if they end up sponsoring like tackle of the game or save the game and just like make everybody mad?
I would be fine with that because if they're, I mean, it's a good company from all I've heard. But yeah, so we're speculating. We have rumors of, so we have Striker, TCL, and Visic. Visic, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. And it's funny because actually the Visic people followed the Earthquakes account, the subreddit Twitter account, because we were tweeting about it. So they're probably like, any press is good press for them. And so the rumors right now, there's Prudential, Marvell, Citrix, NetSuite, and we're speculating maybe even Sony, because PS4 is the sponsor of our 4th Division U23 team, basically.
Oh my god, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I would love to see like the PlayStation Club square off against the Xbox Club.
Yeah, we're talking
like the
about
console war bowl. Oh,
yeah, we're wanting the Heritage Cup to be a console war. Yeah, definitely, that would be pretty hilarious to have. So,
like, how many
Sony
14-year-old Call of Duty players can we make care about this game?
Well, also it would be good for probably FIFA to have the for at least the Sony editions to have like Earthquakes player on the front, probably, since it would say Sony or
right. Oh yeah, maybe, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it definitely would be publicity because they're kind of they're an up and coming organization, I know, but I think they'll make the rounds a little bit.
So Zach, you mentioned before your work on RSJ Earthquakes, and lately you've been promoted to mod of RMLS. And you got to participate in the live stuff and all those threads. And so what's that been like the last few months?
It's been a trip. I mean, with some things I feel like nothing's really changed. I'm still browsing. I'm still trying to make match threads, and other people are beating me to it. I mean, I could in theory just remove them, but that would be a power trip.
And then you would start showing up on undelete, and then it's just all downhill from there.
Exactly. Be on subreddit drama, everything like that. But it's been fun. That live thread was it was only one night for me. Remy did most. Dan, he pulled most of the weight there, but I got to enjoy the night where it was basically a couple reporters sitting outside the building, staring at some blinds and wondering what was happening in there. Which
that was the best.
We did about half an episode on that. It was great.
Yeah, sadly I couldn't make that episode to talk about it, but yeah, it was definitely a fun experience because it was like now the season's actually kicked off and everything, but then we were like, this is probably where it's all going to be decided whether or not we're going to be playing, whether or not this is going to be a long form strike or anything, and so even just them shutting the blinds was making us feel, oh man, this is a sign of the end. The league is done.
Right.
We're gonna start with NASL Part 2 again. Just here we are.
Yeah. Everything that Klinsman was right. We were wrong. This league is bullshit. The Euro snob. We should have gone with the FIFA calendar. Oh my god.
Yeah.
So So that incident brought in a lot of new subscribers. The opening weekend
Mhm.
brought in a lot of new subscribers. A couple of threads went into the several thousands, I think,
Mhm.
setting like both of the CBA threads and also the Orlando match, I think, were the top three most discussed in MLS history. So
Mhm.
what do the mods talk about with regard to those huge threads? What do you guys discuss among yourselves? And what's
Uh,
this growth been like?
Yeah,
well, I mean,
what's the backdoor dirt?
no, I'm still totally new to it, dude. So I'm still trying to like get my like I only had an orientation like a few weeks ago, just basically saying this is the stuff that you're responsible for and need to do or whatever. So I'm new to it as like anybody listening to it really, but basically we're just discussing um, how to maintain or how to just work with this new interest because for a while this subreddit like when I was first starting on here the match threads were literally just me. I would post like 7, 8 comments, and then maybe one or two other people would post a comment about the match. Um, and then now we're having it where there's like thousands of comments and just hundreds of users, which is amazing to me. And so the growth, especially over this past year, has exploded, and it's still exploding, which is even more incredible with trending subreddit. And then it was subreddit the day before, and just for that to happen within the span of like a month or two is crazy. So mainly we're just trying to focus on how are we going to do quality control and also working on some things that may have not been totally focused on with this growth of just removing some threads that shouldn't be there, comments that shouldn't be there, because the one thing that becoming a mod has made me appreciate is how much just crap that you have to pull out of the pipe before it actually hits the front page or
Right.
hits new. And some of that can just be like, new users, they don't know where to ask questions, stuff like that. But some of it's just like the ridiculous, beaten down pro-rel. Should we do it now? It's been a month since we last talked about it. Has anything changed? Stuff like that. And then also just like blame wars between people just arguing about the most benign things, like this color looks better than that color. Like, you know, it's just ridiculous. Um,
We were Ian and I were expressing some concern earlier about how a community can become, uh, let's just say, less than inclusive. Has there been any indication that that's something that might be happening here with this new growth?
mm,
Because I mean, AO was talking about how like in a group of over 30,000, you'll have some bad eggs that can ruin the experience for everybody. And I'm looking at our subscriber numbers now, and after the World Cup, we did crack that 30,000 mark. So I mean,
yeah.
it's something that certainly gives me pause.
Yeah, it's something where you gotta look at the different styles of moderation, and it's something that's been something that we've been talking about in the mod group. Is that do we want to be like remove the absolute worst things and just be a little bit hands off, try to foster some sort of community that doesn't feel like they're being silenced or anything like that, or do we want to be ban happy and just if we see people that are ruining it for the rest of them, if we see the bad eggs and they're continuing to be bad eggs, do we just pluck them out, remove it before it starts if we can? And that's been
Mhm.
something where in the past they, especially with the growth not being as escalating as it was before, they mainly were a little bit hands off. They would take those really bad situations, pluck them out. And it's also just with the new growth is that there's stuff that we don't see that we don't realize is going on. Because I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, you can't be everywhere.
yeah, exactly. There's 9 of us to the 30,000 users. Well, I mean, there's of course less that post, but with match threads that are thousands of comments long, it can take a little while just to get through the one thread and be like, oh, there was something there that I should have noticed last night. But yeah, I feel like um, a community can be fostered with just the right moderation. Um, and I think that we're going to be moving toward a method that will basically take the best of both angles where we're going to be keeping around like trash talk threads, stuff like that, but at the same time we're just going to try to make sure that that trash talk sticks to those threads. That isn't as if there isn't that it's the no fun league, but there is places to be ridiculous, but at the same time that we want to foster the same sort of serious and many times, or most of the time, it was in-depth discussion about everything going on. Because, I mean, this is becoming more and more a center for MLS talk for a lot of fans.
I'm sort of sensing that myself, that a lot of the discussions that I used to see elsewhere from places like, oh, God forbid, like big soccer, are starting to happen here. And, and normally, and mostly, it's the constructive stuff that's coming over. I mean, like, I think it's, I mean, okay, so right now the second highest, the second highest all-time upvoted post is the picture of the woman flicking off Josie Altidore. Thankfully, it did not dethrone our favorite, the guy who made the 50 States shirts. But but the thing is that like a lot of it seems to be in all good fun, and then when you look at a lot of the other things that people are talking about, they are things like issues. You know, MLS purchasing Chivas. MLS monopoly, but it just seems that like a lot of the times, while it feels like there's a healthy balance, say, between things that are simply entertaining, like this funny video, and also people talking about what's actually going on in our league, which is, despite what they would have you believe, I still think is in a very volatile state. And it's an exciting time to be talking about it, and I'm thrilled that it's happening.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you on that. There definitely has to be some sort of balance. I mean, that giant thread that got a lot of press was with the new logo being released and how we can edit it in different sorts of ways. And that was just ridiculous fun. And that was something where normally, if it wasn't what it was, the moderators probably would have been like, okay, this might not be totally appropriate. But as we saw, it just took off, and it was a great way for the community just to get together and have fun. And I feel like that sort of stuff still needs to exist, but at the same time, through the filter, we gotta filter out stuff that doesn't like necessarily even focus on North American soccer. Like, we've been getting a lot of posts about Qatar 2022, where there's no connections at all to U.S. soccer, no mentions, but people are like, this was something that we bid on, and so it's
something that we still care about. So it's something that I'm gonna put about here. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, admittedly, I still care about it, but you're right. Like, I'm going to our soccer for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just something where we're trying to figure out the balance between allowing this to be an inclusive place for not only MLS fans, but NASL, USL, PDL, NPSL, so like all throughout the divisions, also NWSL fans.
Right, which can't wait for that season to start.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that. I mean, I've been campaigning.
They need to get a fucking California team. Like,
no, I know.
The closest team is the Thorns. What am I supposed to do with that?
I know. I'm saying that it's going to be, RSL or Salt Lake should be getting a team in 2017, and I'm thinking that, and then also LA. As far as that goes, Mia Hamm is probably going to want to put out a NWSL team, from what I hear. I mean, we'll see what happens, but
yeah. The last time there was a women's team here, it did not go great, unfortunately.
Are they gonna bring back the Bay Area Cyber Rays?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if they'll bring back that name, although they did win a trophy, so I'm not going to argue with that.
So did the Carolina Courage.
Yeah, but I actually do think that they will be bringing back a team sooner than people think. I mean, I've said myself, the best case scenario is that during this upcoming friendly at halftime, they announced a new women's team, or that women's team is going to be playing in San Jose in 2016, because I mean, they expanded the league in the NWSL league in 2014, and then the president said that they wouldn't expand in 2015 because the Women's World Cup is going to be disrupting the schedule so much, and that would disrupt like the momentum of a new season for a new team. Right. But I definitely can see them expanding. Like, as you say, there's no California team, and it's only the state with the largest population, and definitely it produces a lot of women's national team members, especially the Bay Area with Stanford, Cal.
Yeah, your area and mine are pretty much like the biggest hotbeds of soccer in, the country. So, it'd be nice if we had as many teams as we could. Back to the sub real quick. Are there any particular users that you would like to call out for being good, for being particularly good?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ask you to name names.
Are you going to have me throwing shade, just like calling out people, be like, yo, I can't believe Dr. Dank and just how no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, could you just be
Actually,
could you just be outrageously unprofessional for a moment? I think that'd be really great for us.
yeah, I mean, I already was thinking that I would get the shortest tenure because in my I don't know what you would call it, but in my promotion thread, Dan said to not use the word hella, and so I used it immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get removed, even though I was only here for like 10 minutes basically. But for as far as users
You were
go,
tough but fair during those 10 minutes.
yeah, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But I feel like for as far as users go that make great content or that are just always trying to put the best things out there, I'm trying to think of people that aren't just San Jose fans, so that I don't seem totally biased. But let me see. There's Locks the Fox. Does a lot of good match threads. A lot of good comments. Dr. Dank is just an OG on this subreddit that I've
Yeah.
he was on that last episode that I was on. Let me see. I'm trying to think who else. There's Whitecaps 2010, I think. They put out a lot of good match threads and usually some good comments. A lot of people get confused because they seem to change their flair every day or so.
Yeah.
From a small Washington team to I've lost track honestly. I'm trying to think who else. But yeah, there's a lot of good people out there, and that's one of the things is that a lot of the content that used to just hit the front page because there wasn't as much posted before is not hitting the front page or getting a ton of attention anymore. Like a lot of the OC original, even to Reddit content, like self-post stuff like that. And so that's something that we're trying to figure out. Like, is that just a change of culture, or is that something we could actually make come back to the front page and stuff like that? Because everybody loves seeing, like pictures of Dax McCarty or just like we're seeing more and more people posting just Instagram pictures of different players, and that's like not totally what you would want unless you were trying to do like a Facebook group for MLS fans, things like that.
Yeah, well, something that kind of sucks about our soccer is that like 3/4 of the front page every day are like GIFs or just highlights.
So I actually don't mind that because I don't go into our soccer because I hate it. But like it's I subscribe to it, and when I scroll down my Reddit pages, I'm like, okay, I don't mind looking at all the GIFs of all the cool goals that happened. I don't mind that that's our soccer's contribution. Obviously, I expect a lot more from our MLS.
It's like, oh no, we expect more here. They do have the interesting watch and read buttons, where like they say watch our soccer, read our soccer, and it'll just make it highlights and it'll just make it the content posts.
That's definitely something that's good, yeah.
But no, I definitely do like the community that we've fostered here. All right. Do we think that there's anything else that we can benefit from his wisdom?
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You're dry. You're completely done.
I will say I am pleased that you, like me, are rocking original '96 flair for your team, the San Jose flair. I recently switched to the retro.
Yeah, I noticed that. Flair. I was like, something doesn't look quite right about this logo. It doesn't look familiar. And I was like, oh wait, it does look familiar in some ways.
Yeah, I was considering doing that for Galaxy stuff, but that would just feel dishonest. Like I wasn't watching them before the rebrand, so.
Yeah, see, that's if you were, you're allowed to. If not, I'm gonna be total snob about this. If you were, you're allowed to. If not, you're not. So.
I definitely don't have that claim.
Yeah, I mean, it's something also where I was just like, well, if I'm gonna choose a retro flair, I'm not really wanting to go with the how would I put it? Bay Area triangle, the like pizza flying sun thing. Although there are some of our fans that feel like that's actually the better logo, but I'm not one of them personally. I like the Scorpion
logo. It's a nice the Scorpions, which I don't know why they're there, but I like them. So,
what? Haven't you heard about all those Scorpions that are in San Jose? They overrun the place. Yeah.
Infested, I mean, New York has the sewer rats. We have our sewer scorpions.
Yeah,
It's
right.
well known, I thought.
No, yeah. Fallout, little known fact, was actually based in San Jose. No,
Yeah,
Wait,
rat
really?
corpse. Yeah.
no, not really.
Oh no. Oh, okay. Um,
Let's
should
see.
we
I
move
think
to
there's.
bold predictions? Wrap this
Oh,
show.
Sure.
We're about 90 minutes in.
oh man. Yeah.
And it's been a good
We've
one.
barely even we've barely actually talked about that league to which we devote ourselves. Okay.
That's why we put out 2 a week now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, bold prediction. They actually try to get Guinness into Avaya Stadium and set a record with that bar and fall short.
Oof. Wow, that's way too old for me. I don't think Val would be happy
That's
about
hurtful. Why you gotta be hurting, James?
Because I'm from LA and they're from San Jose.
that. Yeah. Well, I
Just trying to
mean, you
keep that.
guys
Just
kind
trying
of
to stoke that rivalry, you know.
you guys. I mean, it's okay. Here's the thing. It doesn't need to be stoked. It's already there. You know, in the beginning there was the hatred, and in the end there will be the hatred. Just
Oh
beginning
yeah.
of time. I mean,
Hey, look, we stole one of your players specifically so he would stop scoring on us. Like, so I mean, it's fine. Like,
that definitely that. I think that's the best way I've ever heard that trade put. Um, yeah, and then a franchise was destroyed because AG's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The LA team is doing okay, but they're not doing good enough to make the San Jose team look bad. So we're just going to move up to the oven. And,
okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
like, oh, they're not
bold
doing what they could be
prediction.
doing.
My bold prediction. Let me see. Is that San Jose is actually going to manage to grab more than 1 point. I'm not saying 2 points because that's literally impossible. In Seattle, I feel like they can actually pull on upset, and then Seattle fans will be really upset with us, although they're always upset with us, so not
Right.
much will change.
All right, my bold prediction. My bold prediction. This isn't happening this weekend, but next week, I believe, Wednesday. Alajuelense is gonna beat Montreal in Montreal in like one of
Ooh.
that.
Just to make yourself feel better.
No, because I I believed in Montreal, but then Justin Mapp got hurt, and now I don't believe in Montreal.
Yeah. That's pretty
So-
rough.
It's true.
It is. Yeah. No. That's a big one. Yeah, and I'm sure come Sunday will be, or well, I guess come the release of the episode on Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, we'll definitely be talking a lot about how bad that loss is for Montreal. Because I mean, even I think that myself am underestimating just really what it's going to do to them.
Yeah, and it's not like if it were for 2 months, I think they would be fine, and they'd still be in playoff push mode. Now
God,
it's
did
gonna
it
be
say
like
6 to
4.5.
8? Or
I saw 4 to 6.
4 to 6? Yeah, I mean, but that's still way too much. It's
Yeah.
too much. Like it's
Yeah.
over.
But yeah, anyway, before we let you go, Zach, anything you want to plug?
Let's see. I have too many Twitter accounts now because I don't know. Let's see. You can follow me at Some Cruise Dude on Twitter. You can also follow the Earthquakes subreddit on Twitter at RSJ Earthquakes. Sometimes it's me tweeting from there. It's just if you want to keep up with the different hella posts that are hella posted there all the hella time. Then also I've started up NWSL to San Jose or
Oh, okay.
NWSL to SJ because there was another Twitter account created like that, but it only had 3 tweets. And so I'm just going to make that try to post Bay Area soccer news, and then if anything comes up, like rumors, stuff like that, then I'll definitely post those up there. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
And that will wrap our slashMLS this week. Yeah, thanks again, Zach. Thanks again to Dan, who joined us in the first half hour of the show. That is it. You will hear from us again probably Monday or Tuesday. I don't know. We'll figure it out.